Welcome to Permission to Be Human, the podcast. I'm your host, Mel Findlater, mother, coach, and curator of Permission to Be Human, the company and community. If you're a mom, know a mom, or want to be a mom, and you crave getting out in the world to make a difference, then you're in the right place. This is a space for moms like you to connect with yourself, your purpose, and your big, audacious dreams. Because when you feel your best, you can better you, your family, and the wider world. Let's do this. Hello, and welcome back. I am back for a solo episode. It feels like it's been a fair while. I've had so many amazing people to interview lately that I haven't really stuck into giving you some solo episodes. So I'm excited to be back and doing that today. Today's episode is on a topic that has entered my life a few times in a few different ways recently, and it's on catching glimmers. And I'm pretty excited about this concept. So you'll find out what glimmers are, why they matter, how we can use them to better our well-being, and essentially help us use them to better the world. So stick around. I'm really excited. Now, before I jump into all of this, I just want to remind you and let you know actually that our 1-year podcast anniversary is coming up the second week of May. And I am so excited for what will be happening. You will be getting a podcast every single day that is launched, and I'll be going Facebook Live every single day that week, which I've never done before, let's be honest. So at 10 a.m. PST every day starting the Sunday, May the 12th, you can pop on Facebook Live. And this is a week where we look at overwhelm and what we can do in the moment, what little tools can we use in the moment to gather ourselves and to help us feel less, honestly, to help us get into our thinking brain, to calm our nervous system. So do stick around for that. And with that, one of the days will be an Ask Me Anything day. So if you have any questions, it could be about me, it could be about your well-being, it could be, a tip that you really would love to have. You could be listening to these episodes over time and say, oh, I really wonder what Mel would think about this. Then if you have one of those, please email me your questions. It's simple, permission to be human always at gmail.com. Pop me an email, ask the questions, and I promise that either on the podcast that week, I believe it's the Friday coming out that week in May, either on the podcast episode or live in the Facebook Live on my page, you will get the answer to that question. I will respond to any question that I get. If I get 100, well, that will be interesting, won't it? And we'll make it a whole nother week. But I would love you to pop me an email or send me a message on my Facebook page, Permission to Be Human, and let me know any questions you have. All right, let's get on with the day. So, glimmers. I'm curious of whether this is a new word for you. I've really only run into it in the last maybe 6 months or so in my life. So what is it? Before I explain exactly a definition for it, I'm going to give you an example of one. So me noticing a glimmer in my day. This morning when we woke up, my son was, we were going about our morning, getting ready for school. And he was a little frustrated because he had hid and his sister told me where he was. And I actually didn't even notice this was happening until he was getting really frustrated. And I said, all right, go downstairs. I'll be down in a minute. You go hide. So he hides and I'm looking around. And then, he's hiding in this spot that's like, I funnily enough did not even notice him. He was standing beside a bookshelf. It was right out in the open and I was looking for really tricky spots. And when I found him, I was like, and he's like, and we had this really lovely, surprising moment. And it was playful and fun, and we both giggled. And it was such a wonderful way to start the day. And that is a glimmer. It was that little moment that I got and that he got of just pure joy. So let's get into what a glimmer is a little bit more. You've probably heard of the word trigger. A trigger could be a smell that you smell, or a sound, or something that's happened. Maybe a behavior, maybe something your kid has done, maybe something a partner or a friend has done. It could be so many different things, touching on any of our senses. And it's based on something that our nervous system thinks, because of something that happened in the past that felt unsafe, we're now unsafe right now, right? So, I mean, here's a positive trigger. If we smell smoke, we're all of a sudden going to be like, fire, right? So into safety mode. But often triggers are there in a way that isn't particularly helpful if we're not actually in immediate danger, which is what our nervous system thinks we are. So let's say there was a really unkind person in your life who smelled like cigar smoke. Every time you smell cigar smoke, your body and nervous system will automatically feel unsafe. It could, right? This could trigger you to do that. And that's a trigger. Okay, so we kind of get that. It's something that our nervous system perceives to be unsafe, and then our body acts accordingly. We get sweaty, our heart races, all those things. So glimmers are the opposite. Glimmers, so they're described, I love this description by the Newport Institute. They describe it as glimmers are tiny micro moments of joy, fleeting everyday moments that elicit a rush of happiness, gratitude, calm, peace, safety, or goodwill. Right? So glimmers are the opposite of triggers. They are when our body remembers feeling safe, so it acts accordingly. So an example might be a baby laughing, right? Even me thinking of that right now brings me this sense of joy and innocence, right? Or for my daughter, it might be thinking she spotted a fairy in the garden. It could be receiving a surprise and welcomed hug. It could be spotting a rainbow. It could be hearing your favorite song, or the feeling of the sun on your skin, or the smell of rain. A glimmer is something that we have likely experienced before, so our nervous system remembers it as being safe. So it reacts with a slower heart rate, it fills us with happy hormones, and we are just in our best place in those moments. And sometimes they are fleeting. They are small, everyday micro moments. They're not necessarily the big I'm proud moments I graduated university, right? It's more about the tiny things that might have happened in that. Like perhaps my dad moved over the little dangle thing on my hat. That is a tiny micro moment of joy. That is a glimmer, right? Okay. So here's the thing, is that as humans, we naturally have something called a negativity bias. So we notice the things that are negative, and unless we do it with intention, we often don't notice a lot of the positive things, or we skim by them and don't remember that they happened. But here's the cool thing. We can actually train our brain with a little intention each and every day to start noticing the positive. So to start to notice the glimmers in our day. And the more glimmers we notice, the better we will feel. We feel good both in that moment of the glimmer happening. So the sun is on my skin and I'm like, oh, it feels so good. But also, if I set the intention to remember it later, I get those good feelings a second time and a third time if I recall it again. So let's give an example. When I look out my window, I have this beautiful line of trees that's on a hill back there, and it's those like evergreen style trees? There's all sorts of different evergreens out there, but there's firs and they have that kind of look to them and this beautiful, stunning view of how it reaches the sky, like that straight line. And there's something about that just brings me so much contentment. Like, I love that view. It's one of my favorite in the world. And when I sit and look at it, I feel that glimmer. And right now, I'm remembering feeling that glimmer from sitting on my chair out on my little patio outside my office and looking at that. And I get the same feelings because cool thing about our brains, they don't really know the difference between reality and memory, right? And imagination. So we can feel those things by simply remembering them. So glimmers help to relax your nervous system. And if we set an intention to notice those glimmers and we notice them more and more often, then over the long term, noticing and appreciating them will help us build emotional resilience. And more importantly, it will help us develop a less overactive nervous system. So you might find if you do this over time, and it takes a while to get used to this, that you find yourself more regulated more often, feeling more connected more often, feeling safer more often, because you've built up those neural connections in your brain of ease and rest. And here's like, why is this important for mothers? Because, oh my goodness, ease and rest is not a huge part of my life right now, and I doubt it is yours. We have so much stress put on us and surrounding us as a mom that triggers are far more likely, right? Our nervous system is in a state of fight or flight or survival often. And our kids, they are really good at finding our triggers, right? So we're more likely to have those triggers. And so it's really easy for us as mothers, because of the situation around us, to develop an overactive nervous system, one that notices the negatives and has us responding with stress and overwhelm. And, we've done an episode on permission to be overwhelmed, and that's to acknowledge why. Like, of course you're overwhelmed, right? But what if there was another way? What if we could find a way to make it easier to stay regulated? Because we've filled our body full of so many glimmers and moments of ease and rest that it just reacts safe. The little things that our kid does or that, happens in our life, they don't bug us as much because our nervous system has relaxed. It's easy to imagine a life that may be the same things happen around it, and yet it's so completely different if our reactions are different. It'd be pretty darn nice, wouldn't it? That's the ultimate aim. I know it is for me. Okay, so what can we do? What can you do? What am I going to do? The first thing is set an intention to spot glimmers. Start small. Don't overwhelm yourself with this being another task that you're supposed to do, right? This is simply an intention to notice. Start with one a day. First, just invite it in. Invite the glimmers into your life. Just be open to it, because our mind notices things that we want to notice. It likes to notice patterns. So if you start with one a day, maybe at lunchtime you always check in and say, oh, what glimmer have I noticed today? And if you're not sure yet, because you're still practicing, You can be like, okay, reset the intention. I got another half of a day. What glimmer am I going to notice? What glimmer am I going to notice? And then check in that night. Another way to do it is to go to where the glimmers are. So there's going to be places in your house or places that you like to go out into. I love to walk into the woods next to my house. I go there with my dog. There might be a sit spot, which we've talked about in other episodes. There might be the shower and the feeling that gives you. Go to where you remember having glimmers in the past, and allow yourself and make an honest effort to go to those places often, right? Allow those glimmers to be there. Give yourself a chance in the spaces that you'll notice them more often. And lastly, engage all of your senses. And then notice. The thing is, our senses are actually primed and ready to take in these moments of connection and wonder and awe and peace. We simply just need to notice them. So sometimes, we've talked about a lot of different tools on this, and sometimes they are very specific to those moments of overwhelm. And it's like, okay, how do we get out of that? So we've just talked about how we're going to be going through that on that second week of May, the anniversary week. However, sometimes there's tools like this one that if we start doing this now and dedicate, let's say, the first a day and then a week and then maybe a year to this, then it becomes easier and easier and easier. And it's as simple as setting an intention. It's as simple as setting as an intention to notice. Notice the glimmers in your life. And once you notice, start to share it with someone. Keep yourself accountable somehow. Maybe that's something that you speak to your partner about in the evening if you have one, or with your kids. Maybe you want to share it on Facebook or Instagram. We're going to start a hashtag, permission to glimmer. So if you find it helpful to go on and write what the glimmer is, maybe take a picture, but you don't have to have a picture because don't let it ruin the moment. It's about being in that moment. But if you want to write something on Facebook or Instagram with the hashtag permission to glimmer, do it. I'm going to check in on it and I will give you all the thumbs up and celebrations for those. You can let the Permission to Be Human community in on your intentions in that way. And here's the thing. If you're listening to this podcast, then you're likely a mother or mothering in some sense, and you have a desire to dream big and go make a difference in your family and the wider world. And because that's the person you are, you've likely seen something that you think needs fixing or that you think the world needs more of. And this is so amazing. I'm so excited for people like you. You are needed in this world. And us world changers, if we're not careful, we can only see those negative things in the world. We're constantly trying to fix something or make something better. And we do need to fix things and make them better. What we don't need is for that to bring us down, to get us deregulated, to over stress not our immune system, although that too, but our nervous system, right? So alongside noticing the challenges in the world, for our own sanity and well-being and that of our family and those around us, we need to notice the wonder and delight too. We need to feel awe and contentment. We need to take care of ourselves first. And glimmer spotting, this is one way we can do that. So yes, permission to be human, permission to notice those negative things. And you know what? Permission to set the intention to notice the glimmers. It is so hard for me to believe because time has just flown by, but we are coming up to our 1-year anniversary of Permission to Be Human, the podcast. How? Just how? And I'm so excited that I have tons of stuff in the works. Like, tons. So Sunday, May the 12th to Saturday, May the 18th, there is going to be things happening every single day that week. There'll be a podcast episode coming out at 7 a.m. each day, including quite a few different things, but you'll get a chance to hear an interview with me. I gave the hosting thing over to my good friend Sarah, and she interviewed me. So you'll find out more about me, you'll find out more about my family, and more importantly, this is a week about overwhelm, right? Tools to get out of overwhelm is what that week is going to be all about. So we'll have episodes by an 8-year-old girl who teaches kids yoga. Amazing. We'll have episodes by an EFT tapping specialist. We'll have episodes with just me, chattering away as I always do. And as well as an episode coming out every single day that week at 10 a.m. on Facebook Live and Instagram Live, I will be showing you a tool that will help you get through overwhelm. So don't miss that. There are also going to be prizes, and more prizes. I'm super excited. I am gathering them together and figuring out what they're going to be. But do show up that week. Listen live on Facebook, listen to the podcast episodes, and you will find out how you can be in for some pretty epic prizes. And I have one request for you right now. One of those days is going to be a Q&A, Ask Mel Anything day. And in order for me to run something like that, I need some questions. What have you been wondering when you've been listening to this podcast? What questions do you have? You can ask me anything. I'm pretty much an open book. It could be about me, or it could be about you. It could be about your well-being. Ask me anything. Curiosities. And I promise I will answer them that week. Even if I get like 1,000. We'll figure it out. So please do send me permissiontobehumanalways@gmail.com your questions so that I can answer them. I'm so excited that we're 1 year in, and I can't wait to celebrate with you. That is it, folks. This has been Mel Findlater on Permission to Be Human, the podcast, and I am so glad that you have joined us here today and hope that you have taken away some tidbits that will help you go away, connect with your big audacious dream, and make that massive impact in the world that you are dying to make. If you liked today's episode, please like it, share it. Think of one person that you think would also like it and send it on over to them. Let's get this out there and more moms feeling like themselves, inspired, dreaming big, and out there being them. Please do head on over to find me on Facebook with Permission to Be Human, or Instagram, or you can even pop me an email and say hello at permissiontobehumanalways@gmail.com. Say hello and let me know that you listened. What did you like about it? I would love to hear. If you didn't like it, I don't really want to know. Just kidding. You can share that if you want. I would love to know, however, who you are. Let's connect. Let's find out what you want more of. I want to hear from you, and I want to make it what would be useful to you. As always, remember that you have permission to dream big, permission to feel big, and permission to be you. You have complete and full permission to be human. For real, you do.